They say some towns fade away when people leave, become footnotes in dusty books or forgotten corners on old maps. But Dark Falls wasn't forgotten. It was eased, swallowed. Decades ago, it thrived like any other town. Children laughed, windows glowed, neighbors waved. And then, something happened. Something the newspapers wouldn't explain. Some said it was a factory accident. Others whispered of poison in the soil. But what truly happened, no one ever found out. The town died, officially. But some things don't stay buried. At the end of a road that never shows up on GPS, past the trees that don't grow right, stands a house. It doesn't creak from age, it breathes. And when the wind moves just right, you can still hear it calling. The sky looked like it had forgotten how to shine. Clouds low and heavy over the road, and the town below seemed stuck in the time. It was too quiet. No birds, no cars, just rows of dead trees leaning towards the street like at grave. Amanda Benson leaned against the window of her family's car as they drove deeper into Dark Falls, a town none of them had ever heard of before last week. The air felt thick. Watching the withered houses pass by, Amanda felt like she was sinking onto a place the world had chosen to forget. Their destination stood at the very end of the road, tall, rotting, and wrong. It was a 3-story house wrapped in shadows, even though it was only afternoon. The porch sagged dangerously, the shutters clung by rusted hinges, and the front door hung slightly open as though the house was breathing. Her younger brother Josh whined about the Wi-Fi, about the move, about how he already hated everything. Her parents forced smiles, calling it an adventure. But Amanda said nothing, because she could feel it. The house didn't want to be lived in. It wanted something else. That first night, the silence was suffocating. Amanda lay still in her bed. The air was heavy, unmoving. The walls seemed to close in, and the shadows refused to behave like shadows should. Then came the sound. Soft scratching, like nails brushing against the inside of the wall. Then a whisper, so faint she wasn't sure she heard it.
Amanda.
She sat up slowly. The hallway outside her door was pitch black. Something, or someone, had passed by. She hadn't seen it clearly, but it had moved like smoke, like sorrow. Downstairs, the grandfather clock struck 2, but the hands were stuck at 12. The next morning, Josh found a boy standing in the backyard. His skin was pale, his eyes hollow. He introduced himself as Ray and said nothing for several seconds after that.
You just moved in.
He finally muttered. His voice was low, dry.
You shouldn't have.
Josh laughed awkwardly.
Why?
Ray didn't blink.
Because the house is hungry. The town doesn't like the living.
Before Josh could respond, Ray turned and walked away, straight into the woods, disappearing without a sound. No broken twigs, no footprints. Just gone. Amanda followed her instincts into the forest behind the house that afternoon. The deeper she walked, the colder it became. Trees twisted over her, blocking out the sky. Then she saw it. A forgotten graveyard. Sunken tombstones surrounded by moss and rot. The names were recent. Too recent. Then she noticed one gravestone with a name carved deep into it. Ray. The date of death was last year. A chill climbed her spine. She backed away, only to find someone standing behind her. A girl, pale and hollow-eyed. Her dress hung like it had been soaked in the rain long ago. Her mouth barely moved as she spoke.
They bring families here every year.
Amanda's voice cracked.
Why?
The girl's voice was like wind over ice.
Because the town died, and the dead don't want to be forgotten.
Amanda and Josh dug through the basement that evening, searching for proof. Behind old shelves and rotten boxes, they found newspapers. Dozens of them, yellowed and forgotten. Headlines told the truth. Family vanishes after buying historic home. Town suffers from chemical plant disaster, dozens presumed dead. Real estate agent linked to disappearances. Photos showed the same people they had met this week, Mr. Dawes, Ray, their neighbors. But the photos were from decades ago. They hadn't changed. Not one wrinkle, not one difference. The people of Dark Falls had died, long ago. But they came back. And now, to remain in their decaying world, they needed to drain the living, absorb their warmth, trap them. And the Bensons were next. That night, the truth came walking. Figures appeared in the hall, behind windows, beneath the porch. Their skins sagged, eyes hollow, mouths full of dirt and silence. The dead had come to collect. Amanda and Josh rushed to the basement, where the ancient circuit box sat. She remembered what the ghost girl said. Her hands shook as she flipped the breakers, and then, light. Every room burst to life with brightness. The old bulbs hummed, and the creatures screamed. Their skin cracked, their bodies twisted into ash and rot. One by one, they fell. Their forms collapsed like dried paper, vanishing in the glow. Then silence. The house moaned once, a long final breath, and went still. At sunrise, the Benson family left everything behind. They drove without speaking, the morning light golden and alive. Dark Falls disappeared behind them like a nightmare receding at sunrise. Amanda didn't speak. Neither did Josh. Their parents tried to pretend nothing had happened, that the house had simply been too old, too much work, too strange. But Amanda knew. As the sun rose higher and the car sped away, she looked back one last time, just a glimpse through the trees. The house still stood, and in the highest window, a silhouette remained. A pale girl, hair like smoke, eyes like grief. She lifted one hand, ever so slowly, and waved. Not goodbye, but welcome. Because the house doesn't forget, and it never sleeps. It only waits for the next dead family to move in.